Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. This time we're going to talk, always hopefully briefly, never know what I'm going to do, right? About what I think is a very, very common problem for backpackers, particularly whether you're a through hiker all the way down to I only go out for 1 or 2 nights at a time, and that is the problem of bringing too much food. It really is. It's an issue. It's one that I've been backpacking for decades. Technically, I mean, I did have some time in there where I focused more on career and other things, and then got back into it more heavily in my younger years, my teens and 20s. I was definitely into it and backpacking all the time and things like that. And yeah, I've still run into it myself. I still to this day still have the issue sometimes. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that may cause that issue, and hopefully maybe some ideas to kind of mitigate that situation. Bringing too much food. It is one of those cases where a lot of people think about, well, sometimes, you know, having too much than not having enough is actually a good thing. Not necessarily when we're talking about backpacking. Whether you're, I mean, it's a little easier if you're on a short backpacking trip, but especially if you're on a longer trip over a week, or you're through hiking and things like that, too much food that you're not going to use and things like that is just extra weight in your pack that just makes the trip tougher, just harder, more uncomfortable to carry extra weight that is going to go to waste. You're just not using. You end up putting it in a hiker box, or at the end of a short trip or something, it's still in your pack. You've carried it all the way back to your vehicle, and you know, so you want to try to mitigate that all you can, because that can cut into your enjoyment of a trip. Whether it's a short trip or a long through hike, you're cutting into your enjoyment and maybe even your endurance levels by carrying that extra weight. Now, if you watch a lot of my other stuff, you know I'm not one of those just fanatical, we have to cut every ounce out of our pack, super ultralighter, like some folks are. But any backpacker still, to some extent, has to be mindful of the weight they're carrying and not be wasteful of the weight that they are carrying. Everything they carry should have a use. And if you're carrying food that you're not going to eat, guess what? You're carrying things that don't have a use. So one of the ways I look at that you can kind of help mitigate that is number one, is you really have to plan things out. Don't just start taking a bunch of meals. Oh, it's going to be this many days, so I'm just going to throw all the stuff into that. Okay, there's my food. Try and get a little more detailed than that. Okay, specifically, I need 3 breakfasts. I'm going to go out for 3 days. That's going to be 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, 2 dinners. Okay, let's put it that way. So you're going to figure out day 1, what am I going to have for breakfast? These 2 oatmeal packets, this such and such thing I'm going to put in the oatmeal packets, fruit, whatever you want to, whatever you're planning, things like that. Okay, there's 1 meal. Lunchtime, I'm going to have this many crackers. I'm going to have some salami. I'm going to have this. Dinner time, I'm going to take this such and such package. That's going to be dinner time. Okay, now you can do all the repackaging if you want to make sure all your stuff is not taking up too much space, but you've got a day's worth of food there. Okay, now you're going to have to take into account that you're going to want to do a little bit of snacking. If you're doing longer trips especially, you're going to want some trail mix, some quick energy in the afternoon between lunch and dinner, things like that to kind of, you know, a couple of protein bars, some trail mix, stuff like that to just kind of snack on. Some real quick cheese or something like that to help give you a little kick in that afternoon before you get to camp and starting dinner and things like that. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing with lunches. You're going to do the same thing with dinners. You're going to plan that out until you have filled out your trip. Okay, there's my 3-day trip. I have this many meals. We're set. We're good. And I have this much for snack. Okay, one of the things you do have to take into account is the way your body deals with the stress of physical exertion. For a lot of people, and this is not universal, it is not for everybody, but for a lot of people, many hikers have figured out that the human body deals with the stress of physical exertion by shutting lots of things down, and that sometimes includes appetite. So you have to take that into account, and you have to know you. I did a whole hiker homily a little while ago on hiker know thyself, and it's not just for aches and pains. Oh, is that that whole hiker homily was all about trying to figure out if that's an injury pain, or, oh, that's just the usual soreness I get from this kind of workout, things like that. Okay, it goes beyond that. It goes into this as well too. You know, if you are a regular backpacker and hiker, how your body is going to react. I just know on the first day, if I have pushed myself a lot, if it was like just kind of a mild hike and stuff like that, no, I'm going to be fine. I'll have a full meal and things like that. But if it's a tough day, I've pushed myself that day, I just know I am not going to be that hungry. So this, such and such packet I brought for dinner, there's no way I'm going to eat that. I have said before that you have to try and force yourself to eat sometimes, especially if you're on long distance hiking and things like that. You do, but you don't want to overeat either. That's just going to create more of a problem. And so you have to compensate for that before you're even on the trip. When you're packing your food, you're going to have to think that first day, it's going to be 10 miles. It's going to be a decent elevation climb and then a drop. And man, we're going to be working hard. I will bet you money, because you know yourself, that I am just not going to be that hungry that night. So that dinner, I'm going to pack something light. Okay, something easy. Maybe I don't even have to, if I am not fully stoveless, and I did bring my camping stove, maybe that first night I don't even want to break that out. I don't feel like it. I just want to just hang and just chill because it's been a rough day hiking. So okay, fine, I'm going to just do something really simple. Just going to add water to this ramen. I'm going to throw a little bit of stuff in here, and I'm done. I'm not going to eat this whole packet of this or do a whole thing there. So that will help mitigate some of it, so you're not carrying too much, things like that. You just have to know how your body is going to react to stuff like that. And if you have a body that you're fine and things like that, or if you're a through hiker and you're on like week 2 and your hiker hunger is setting in, yeah, you're not going to have any issue with extra food. In fact, that's most of the time that's when you're starting to deal with, whoa, I still have 2 days, but I only have technically 1 day worth of food with me the way I've been eating. So holy mackerel, So yeah, it can get that way. But for simple backpacking, and for most people, especially at the beginning of a trip, of a long trip and stuff like that, your body kind of turns its appetite off and is like, wow, it's a little confused because it's burning lots of calories. So it's like, well, we can't be hungry. Look at all these calories we got. Holy mackerel, we're just burning them right off and things like that. So you end up with food left over. And that's kind of a hard thing to mitigate if you really don't know how your body's going to go. That's hard to plan for. So know yourself, figure these things out, and that'll be one way you can do that. And like I say, the other way is you just carefully plan. You try and figure it out. Okay, I have this many meals to plan for, and so it's going to be exactly, I'm not just going to throw a bunch of food in there and okay, that should cover it for 5 days. No, 5 days is this many meals. I'm going to actually count them off. This bag is a meal. That's one of my breakfasts. That's one of my breakfasts. There we go. Okay, now I have 5 breakfasts in my my food bag. All right, now I need 5 lunches. And you're going to plan those out as close to you can, down to the portion size and things like that. And then you're going to supplement that with some light snacking. You're not just going to like carry a whole case of protein bars and things like that. No, you're going to want a couple of those, maybe a little bit of that, some snacks, some nuts, some trail mix, but not so much that, again, you are, carrying out, a bag this big of trail mix at the end of the trip. There's no reason for that. You should be done with all your snack food. By the time you reach your vehicle, you should not have any food left in your pack, or if you do, it's very small amount of like your just in case snack food type of thing. That should be it. You shouldn't be carrying useless weight that you just never use. too much food while backpacking. It's a simple subject, but it's one that I think affects lots of people. So any comments or questions, as usual, you can get a hold of me at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com, or, you know, comment down below and in the comment sections wherever I post this thing on like Facebook and things like that. Let me know if you've had issues with that, if you find a way to a really, you know, foolproof way that you've figured out to beat it, things like that. But it is a pretty common issue, and it's just one that's just one of those things that it requires some pre-planning to figure it out, and then it definitely requires you knowing you, and how you eat when you're out on the trail and things like that. So really, that's about it for Hiker Homily this time. Thanks a lot, as always, for watching. I definitely appreciate it. I'll see you all next time.